There's one comment floating about recently, Josh, where are the free back tactics? Well, I've got you covered today. We are going to be releasing a broken meta 3-4-2-1, and if you like free backs, it's going to be the one for you. If you do enjoy the tactics so far this year, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It is completely free, and if you love the videos that much, it would mean the absolute world if you could turn on the notification bell, because that way you are never going to miss another upload. And if you like rebuilds, come and check out the second channel as well. We're everywhere on Football Manager. Let's go through and talk about the results. So we're going to start off with Liverpool, one of the better teams in the Premier League, but not the favourites to win it in this game. We have come out and put on a fantastic display, as you could probably imagine, picking up 36 wins, 1 draw and 1 loss against Tottenham in a 2-1 away defeat. But nearly an invincible season, and regardless of that being said, it still would have been a great season even if we would have lost a couple of games, because we had such a point advantage. Darwin Núñez contributes with 49 goals, who, by the way, in the game is an absolute baller. He also picked up the highest average rating, with Virgil van Dijk in second place and McAllister in third place. Trent, Szoboszlai and McAllister first, second and also third when it comes to the most assists, and Alisson picks up the second most amount of clean sheets. Now, going over to the stats, we are going to be looking at the most points per game at 2.87, the most goals at 134, the most shots at 784, the fewest shots against at 184, all the fours coming out, 22 clean sheets and the fewest conceded coming in at 18. Now, going over to the competitions as well, it's going to be quite nice, let's just say that. We are going to win the FA Cup against Tottenham in 1-0 fashion. The Carabao Cup, we come out and win 5-1 against Newcastle, meaning the only thing we didn't win is this Europa League final against Arsenal, where we unfortunately lost 1-0, but it still is going to be a treble winning season, and quite the good season at that. A treble with Liverpool in the first season, nearly a quadruple. You can't really beat it, to be honest with you. Now, going to the data hub, it is going to be very nice at 3.53 goals per game, 0.47 conceded, which I'm really impressed with, because usually with a free back on this game you do concede a few goals, but I feel like I've come up with a style which sort of counters that, so very happy with how this has turned out. A great amount of shots per game, a really good pass completion, and a very nice tackle win ratio. Again, as I said before, based off the stats and the trophies, we're on to a bit of a winner. And I figured we'd watch some goals now. A 7-0 win over Sheffield is an absolute battering, but it gives you guys a sort of indicator of where the goals come from, how they come, and you know what? They come from all sort of different areas. The link-up play, a lot of the plays were done, down the right-hand side in this game alone for some reason. But you know what? Darwin Núñez seemed to thrive in this system. He was absolutely everywhere, always in the right areas, as you can see there, doing his job in a striker position, getting his goals. And if you're a striker and you're in the right area, you deserve your goal. As you can look at that for a given goal. It is absolutely incredible, and again, goal after goal, Van Dijk getting involved. Nothing this team could do as Mo Salah puts a ball in with my set pieces, which are absolutely insane, and we come out and let's just say we dismantled them. We'll put it politely. Do your tactics work with smaller teams? Well, Hull City are a very small team in the Sky Bet Championship. Not a small team, but a very low-down ranked team in the Championship. We come out and we absolutely take over with 43 wins, 2 draws and 1 loss. And Liam Delap, the man that I think's gone to Ipswich Town for £1 great British pound, scored 66 goals. He is by far one of the best players in this league up front, in my opinion. And I'm including the players from Southampton, Leicester, Ipswich. He's an absolute joke in this game, so maybe I cherry-picked one of the worst teams because I've got Liam Delap, but you know what? It still is a great result. We've got Carvalho coming in with 24 goals as well. Liam Delap, we've got Zori, we've got Greaves, second and third. We've got 3 players in the most assists, and also we are going to be third place when it comes to the most clean sheets. So that alone is a very, very strong season. The fewest conceded, the most clean sheets, the most shots, the fewest shots against, the most goals at 180, 74 more goals than Norwich. We actually got a goal difference compared to first to second than Ipswich's total for the season. Do you know how mental that is? That is absolutely incredible, but it is a free back, so you are going to score goals, and a 2.85 average when it comes to the points per game. Now, competition-wise, I will be honest, we got done by Liverpool, and I mean very badly. Both competitions, both quarterfinals, both defeats, but we are Hull City. We do have to remember that, of course. But the data hub is going to be looking a little bit like this. 3.91 goals a game, thanks to Liam Delap. 0.67 conceded per game, not thanks to Liam Delap. 19 shots a game, a great amount of pass completion, and a very high tackle win ratio. A very disciplined 3 at the back system, which you can't usually say for a free back. Madrid, we absolutely love a bit of Madrid on this channel, and we come out and we do the absolute madness that it is. We're going to win the Champions League in 1-0 fashion over PSG. The Spanish Super Cup, where you're going to beat Barcelona in 2-1 fashion. Runners-up in the Spanish Cup, and it is going to be Levante. That is the only disappointment of this entire season, as you can see, we nearly had an invincible season in the league. 34 wins, 3 draws, and 1 loss against Real Haspalis. Rodrigo and Vinicius first and second with the goals. Vinicius, Rodrigo, and Diaz first, second, and third when it comes to the average rating. Brahim Diaz, Bellingham, and Vinicius with the most assists, and Courtois with the most amount of clean sheets. Now, going over to the stats, we are basically going to write home every single stat line. Most points, most goals at 136, absolutely battering Bilbao and Barcelona. Most shots, fewer shots against, the most dribbles, the fewest conceded, and the most clean sheets. You put that alongside of a treble winning season and a data hub which is going to look absolutely amazing, you've got a perfect tactic. 3.58 goals per game, 0.55 conceded, shots per game, an 89% pass completion, and a 78% tackle win ratio. We're performing above everybody in the league. It's an absolute statement. We had fun against Barcelona in the league, let me tell you that for free. I mean, we absolutely blitzed them. Vinicius gets the game going inside of 3 minutes, and from that point onwards, it was all Real Madrid, apart from 1 goal for them. But as you can see, a lovely bit of pass and play there, right through to Valverde. We're not afraid to go a little bit more direct when we need to as well. Great forward runs, very scrappy, but Camavinga, hats off to your son for that finish. I don't know what they're doing here with the ball. It's just a great bit of press, forces an error again, which is why I always say make sure you are putting that real tight Gegenpress on, because it's so broken in this game. The AI simply can't do anything against it. They do get a goal as a consolation, which meant absolutely nothing. We will watch it just to show you the goal. Not going to hide it. It's an okay goal, nothing special. But as you can see from the stats, against a full-strength Barcelona team, we cooked. From Real Madrid to Harrogate Town, a team predicted to finish 23rd in the Sky Bet League 2. We have come out and put on an absolute masterclass. As you can see, 38 wins, 5 draws, and only 3 losses, with very, very comfortable sort of gap between first, second, and third. An absolute dominant season. Stat-wise, we are going to be having 163 goals go in our favour, the most points per game, the most shots for, the most possession, which is very interesting. Defensively, second place, and also down in joint 5th when it comes to the clean sheet. But overall, a very, very strong season in the Sky Bet League 2 alone. We also do beat Portsmouth in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, the big one, on par with the Champions League, some would say. We come out and absolutely smash them in that regard as well. And the data hub didn't look too bad either for a team so low down and so low down in that league. 3.54 goals a game, 1.22 conceded, which is fine because we're scoring such an amount of goals. Over 18 shots a game, a decent tackle win ratio, and it's actually a really nice pass completion. Considering you've got a factor in the standard of these players, that's really, really good. But now, of course, if it's your favourite part of the video, that is going to be the tactic breakdown. If you are enjoying back home, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want all 3 tactics today, you want them early, you want them on console, you want them on mobile, you want my rebuild files, which is obviously now on the second channel in the link below. You want everything also prioritised, your tactic requests, your rebuild requests, you want one-on-one tactical help, you want loads, so much more as well, by the way. That's just some of the things. We also do a monthly giveaway. This month alone, £375 split between 5 winners, so a very good chance of winning that. Come over and join the Patreon in the link below, where you can be one of 4,575 people. It's a massive community. We all love Football Manager. If you're not there and you love Football Manager, you're missing out. Come over and get involved. But let's go through and talk about the Gegenpress positive system. So as you can see, Gegenpress right away, and we are going to load in any formation because we are going to talk through it again today. So it is going to be a free back. Do not faint. Don't worry. It is going to be a lot different to this, and we are going to start things off from goalkeeper to striker. So we are going to go for sweeper keeper, who is simply going to be set to support. In a free back system, you don't really want your goalkeeper also being a sweeper keeper on attack, in my opinion. So that is why we have gone down to a supportive role. We're just going to put 3 centre backs there before I start confusing myself. Now, going over to the back line, it's actually quite simple. Now, in the game, I really prefer to use ball playing defenders, but of course, you got to be somewhat sensible. You need them to be staying wider, which is why we are going to tell them to stay wider. So both of them on the right and the left hand side are going to be told to stay wider, just to provide a little bit of width in the back line. Is very important. If you don't do this, you're not really going to get the same results, I will be honest with you. And in the midfield, in the back line, not the midfield, we are going to go with a ball playing defender who is going to be set to cover. Again, people have got very mixed opinions on this. Some people would rather their central defender be in level, some would rather him be more aggressive. For me, I prefer him in behind, because just having that player who's a little bit deeper than the other two is almost a safety net. And having him centrally is a real big advantage because obviously the ball playing defenders are going to be a little bit wider anyway. You got someone a little bit deeper, he can almost pick up any scraps that do make it past this ball playing defender role. Now to protect this, don't you worry, we are going to have a nice sort of protection sort of element to the tactic. We're going to drag two players down here, and they are actually both going to be DMs, both on support, and they are simply going to be on tackle harder for both of these roles. Now the great thing about DMs, and again I will say this right now, Josh, can I use other roles? I would recommend for this the only roles to use instead of a DM, although you should be able to use DMs, it's quite a common role, would be a halfback or an anchor. You need this sort of role in the team to really protect that back three, and these get the job done to a very, very, very high level, so make sure you're following that. This is where I think I've mastered the balance of not conceding a lot of goals, but also going out and scoring a lot of goals, is by having wingers set back here. So they are both going to be wingers, and they are both going to be on support. And what is the beautiful thing about this is, not only does it mean we have got width in the team naturally, but they also do help defend as well, and act as quite aggressive fullbacks in some stages of the game. But I did notice if you don't have this instruction on, which we're now going to have on, they really don't contribute that much going forward. So you need to have get further forwards on, and that is going to be the same for the right as it is going to be on the left. And as you've noticed, if you go into this, when team has the ball, so they are only going to go forwards when you've got the ball, meaning out of possession they are going to be quite deep, meaning it's going to be incredibly defensively solid. So make sure you've got that instruction on, because otherwise they're not going to get forwards, it's not going to be too consistent, you're not going to get too many assists from the wide areas, and without their contributions we probably would have had half the goals. So make sure you've got those set of instructions on. Now when it comes to the two attacking midfield players, who are by the way both going to be on support, we are going to have a little play about with them. They are going to be set to roam from position. We are also going to have them on move into the channels. Now the great thing about this is we're going to have it on the right, on the left hand side as well, should I say, move into the channels and roam, is they are literally going to do what they say on the tin. They're going to be moving into different pockets of space, linking up the play very, very well. And yes, there's tons of instructions you could have on these players, absolutely loads, but we don't need to run wide because we've got wingers. We don't want them getting further forwards because the wingers are getting forwards anyway, and that would be too many people going forwards. And they all help link up the play for an unchanged and a default advanced forward who is there to simply put the ball in the back of the net. It's quite a basic system, but one that got some really good results. But over to the team instructions again, based off the Gegenpress on the positive mentality. We are going to leave this in the middle. For you it will be saying fairly wide, just to clarify that. We're going to pass into the space while focusing the play through the middle. Again, I know there's a lot of wide play being used with the wingers, but majority of it is done through the two DMs and the two attacking midfield players, and naturally the wingers do at some point come inside anyway, so we are going to have that on focus through the middle. We're going to play out from the back as well in that regard. The tempo is going to be high with a shorter passing directness, matched with work ball into the box and also mixed crosses. Now if you have got a unit up front, and I mean like a 6-foot unit for example, you can go with floated, or if you've got a very tiny striker you can go with obviously low crosses, but I like to make these tactics as universal as possible, so I have gone with mixed. Now in transition we are going to simply go with counter press and counter, the meta based instructions, and we're going to take short goal kicks and play to the centre backs, which is very, very common sense to be honest, because we have got 3 centre halves, but it makes sense to do so. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to go with the higher defensive line, the high press line of engagement, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and as for the trigger press, we are going to go for much more often. So that is going to be the default tactic done, but this one especially, you're going to want to get the attacking and defensive ones, because sometimes you need to go a lot more defensive than what this offers, and sometimes you need to even push the limits even further to go and get your goal. Now the mindset behind the attacking tactic was to make it more attacking, pretty common sense, but without really affecting the back line or the midfield too much. So what we have done is we have actually kept the same back line down to an absolute T. So there is no changes in that regard. We do replace the midfield with 2 volantes, who are both going to simply be set to tackle harder, of course, a much more progressive role than the DMs. The wingers are going to be the same as on support, but now on take more risks and also run wide alongside of get further forwards. We scrap the attacking midfield players and introduce 2 shadow strikers, which will mean at some point we are going to have 3 strikers if they both push up. It's going to be a goal fest, let me tell you that. And they are both going to be on roam from position, and the advanced forward does remain unchanged. So the real core changes is going to be the volantes, the shadow strikers, really making that big change. The wingers are a little bit different, but to be honest, the real big change is scrapping them attacking midfield players and adding a lot more attacking in with the 2 shadow strikers. So all based off the Gegenpress on the attacking mentality, we are going to leave this inside of the middle, so it is going to say fairly wide on your screen. Pass into the space, this remains exactly the same, playing out from the back, focus focus on the play through the middle, a shorter passing directness matched with, of course, that higher tempo. We are not going to work the ball into the box on this occasion because if you're desperate for a goal, have a crack at goal. So we are going to simply untick work ball into the box, and of course, we are also going to maintain with that be more expressive. In transition, we're going to carry on playing to the centre-backs because we have 3 of them while taking short goal kicks. We're going to counter press. You guessed it, the one change is going to be distribute quickly because we're trying to get the ball moving quickly because we want a goal. Now lastly, out of possession, it is going to be the higher defensive line, matched with that high pressing line of engagement, get stuck in, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and a trigger press is going to be set to much more often. It's a maxed out trigger press, so this tactic, this attacking tactic alone, is really going to push that attacking side of the game, and if you are struggling, you might be dominating with the default, but you're like, Josh, I can't get the goal. What's going on, Josh? Switch to the attacking tactic, that will get you your goal that you need. Now to a tactic to defend those games out with. So obviously with a defensive tactic, the mindset was to make a tactic that defends quite well, so the goalkeeper does remain the same, as does the entire backline, because again, they didn't put a foot wrong, they don't need to be any more defensive, they really can't be, to be honest. 2 DMs come back into the team, which are, well, both going to be on defend, on take fewer risks, and tackle harder. We then introduce a role I don't think I've ever used this year, but do you know what? It's a very unique role, and I'm going to talk about it in a bit of depth, because I know I can already see the comments, Josh, I do not have a defensive winger. If you do have defensive wingers, have them both on support, on pass it shorter. It works really, really well. If you don't, you can just have default support wingers. So do not worry, it still has the same effect. But if you do have defensive wingers, please use them because it suits this tactic really, really well. We then go with 2 attacking midfield players who are both going to be on pass it shorter, roam, and move into the channels with an unchanged advance forward. So as you can see, a few players now are going to have to pass it shorter. For example, the defensive wingers, you are going to have it on the attacking midfield players as well. And that is to obviously maintain a little bit of possession, a little bit better. Yes, not as many goals being scored, but a lot better defensively. Again, the Gegenpress, this time down to balance. We are going to leave this in the middle. We're going to pass into the space. This remains the same alongside of all 3 of the tactic variants. This changes, the directness goes down to much shorter, this is going to be set to slightly lower, we are trying to time waste, so up to frequently. If you've got my set pieces, you can have them on, so make sure you got that selected. We are going to dribble less, and we are also going to go back to working the ball into the box to make sure that we're not being rash and just having shots of fun, because we're trying to time waste. If it takes us 30 minutes to get a chance at goal, make sure it's a good one, because as long as we've got possession, we're the ones running the clock down, and at the end of the day, that's the main aim of this tactic. In transition, we are going to go pretty simple. Counter press, this is going to be remaining blank. We're going to slow the pace down, and of course this doesn't change because we have got 3 centre backs, as I keep saying. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to leave it as the standard line, the high pressing line of engagement, and this remains in the middle, and that is going to complete for you boys and girls back home 3 variants of the meta 3-4-2-1 defensive variant. I am so sorry it has taken so long for me to get one of these out, and if this video gets 70 likes, I will make another meta 3-5-2, because I know you boys have been starved at 3 backs, so if it gets to 80 likes, I'll make it happen. Be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe. Again, if you want to show some love back to me as a creator, you can come over and check out my Patreon, where you get over 13 perks and access to a massive community and access to some pretty big giveaways, where next season we're actually going to be giving away match tickets, so come over and get involved. I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day.